morning, I'm Dr. Christopher Duntsch. Today we're going to be operating on Rose Keller. Patient presented with severe back pain diagnosed as a herniated disc. It is important we are in and out with as little fanfare as possible. So, mouth shut, ears open. I had missed the story when it had first happened. It kind of caught me off guard when I first listened to the podcast and first read the scripts. I found myself kind of in the audience place rather than the actor place of just perplexed at how this happened. Not just how the outcomes happened, but how he happened. Like, how the hell does a person like this come to be?
He turned him into a quadriplegic.
Work ethic was second to none.
Ooh, Ted Bundy was a good worker too.
We all make mistakes.
But not you.
No, ma'am.
So your immediate thoughts were just like, how did this happen? How could this possibly happen?
I think if it wasn't a true story, I don't think you'd believe it. Like if somebody just created this story out of, if this was a pure piece of fiction, I think you'd be like, nah, it's too much. Like nobody would ever get away with this, and nobody's that outlandishly bad at their very crucial job.
Duntsch has 2 deaths. Texas has executed people for less.
All due respect, Dr. Kirby, you don't understand the law.
You don't understand who we're after.
Duntsch is never gonna stop on his own.
And my brain wanted to reject it because I don't want to believe that there are doctors like this out there, because I don't want to ever find myself in a position where I'm like getting wheeled in thinking to myself, are you competent? Are you going to mangle me? And then is the whole system going to try to pretend like you didn't just mangle me? Once you introduce the profit motive into medicine, you get all sorts of distorted outcomes. And up here, while there's definitely money to be made, ultimately the patient supersedes the profit, because there's only so much money inside of the Canadian system to be made. And the American system is the exact opposite, right? As soon as you walk through the doors of any care provider, you are a potential profit center. And so it just warps what doctors prescribe, therapies, medications. It just warps the entire system. And unfortunately, if Duntsch had been practicing medicine in a different state that didn't have as regressive laws as Texas has, then his patients may have been more expensive than him. But because he was practicing in Texas, the cost of mangling those bodies was an acceptable loss for the hospitals, because actually dealing with Duntsch would have been more expensive. And since they had chosen that profit is more important than their patients, it was an acceptable loss for him to continue to mangle human bodies, because that was less expensive to them than dealing with Christopher Duntsch. And that is so up.
And what else was jarring was, I'm used to you playing, like, the majority of your roles, you're usually quite affable. You're, big smile. You're kind of a joker. A lot of your characters, excluding some, obviously, but a lot of them are. And so it was jarring to see you in a role where you were scary, like you're a villain. I don't want to look at Josh right now.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of. I mean, in some moments, I hope that you find yourself compelled by him, but he's definitely not he's not a charming rogue.
And I know in your personal life you're going through really happy things. You have a wife, you have a new child, and then on counterbalance, I don't know how this timing worked out, but how was that? You're playing this brutal character, and then in your private life it's sort of like happy times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank God. It wasn't that part wasn't by design or intention, but thank God. I mean, there were times where playing this character was quite heavy, and I don't even think I recognized it until I finally finished it, that quite how intense the experience was. But thank God I was coming home to a happy home and a happy, healthy baby, because I mean, yeah, it would have been a lot of heavy drinking last winter if it wasn't for the happy family life. I was conscious of the fact that it was wearing on me psychologically by the time we were getting towards the end of the show. And then, like I said, once I actually finished it, I mean, literally the next day, we finished it, I've had an unbelievable night's sleep, and then woke up the next day and was like, wow, I did not realize just how literally heavy, how intense this thing was sitting on top of me. And knowing that I don't have to go back and be inside of this man's psychology anymore is a real relief. There's a price to be paid for every character. Happy, sad, doesn't matter. To play a person without empathy is it's uncomfortable. I mean, there's a lack of humanity inside of him that definitely there's a cost to living inside of that.